What up YouTube, it's Rules for Rebels here, and in today's video I'm going to be responding to a viewer email. I think this is something that I'm going to be doing, or I'm sorry, actually a YouTube message. This is something I'm going to start doing on a regular basis if I get questions that I think will apply to everybody. And one thing just for you guys to know, I'll never share your username, or if you include contact information, I would never share your contact information or anything like that with everybody. But for more kind of generic questions like this, rather than, I probably get a question like this from 50 people a month. So rather than answering this question 50 times, I'd rather make a video addressing it and kind of explain it to everybody at once. So, and I really appreciate messages from you guys. I apologize. I know I'm kind of slow at getting back to stuff. I will eventually respond to all questions, all emails, etc. But I got like 3 new businesses rolling out. I got another new business I'm trying to start. So I am kind of slow at responding to stuff. Probably the best way to get a hold of me is either on Twitter, @Rules4Rebels, or by buying one of my Fiverr gigs, and then I'm on the clock and I have to respond to you quickly. But I will get back to everybody, but let's get into this question. So first off, thanks for your help on selling Alibaba, AliExpress items on Amazon. I'm looking into starting an Amazon selling business very shortly. You mentioned that you will buy a few items, 5 to 10 I believe, and if they sell well, you will buy more and really get into that product. My question is, what constitutes as selling well? Does that mean you selling out in a few days, a few weeks, a month, etc.? I'm going to be using this product so I don't have to commit thousands to a product that doesn't sell well, and when I order large quantities, I can be sure I have a winner of a product. Also, can you personalize, i.e. brand from AliExpress or just Alibaba? Okay, so let's get into this. So, first things first, depending on how many products I'll buy kind of depends on the price. If there's a product that costs $30, I may only buy 5 or 10 to test the waters, because 5 of them is going to cost me, what's that, 30, 60, 90, 120? It's going to cost me about 150 bucks. So I'm willing to lose 150 bucks on an experiment, but that is a little bit more of a costly product. On the flip side, something like paracord bracelets or something like that, when I can get them for like 20 or 30 cents, I'll buy 100 of them, because who cares? I mean, it's $20, and at the margin stuff like that sells for, typically if I sell probably 3 of them, it's going to pay for the entire lot. So, I'm not really worried about you can order 5 or 10 to test waters, but a lot of times I might order 20, 50, 100, because it's cost me like less than 20 bucks to order this stuff. And also because this stuff takes a long time to arrive, if I order 5 pieces and they sell out, if I order from Alibaba, I'm probably looking at 30 days to get it. If I order at AliExpress, maybe I can get it in 2 weeks. But it's a lot of downtime. So I don't mind shelling out a little bit more money and ordering more products on a cheaper product. In terms of what constitutes as selling well for me, I don't know if you guys realize this, but it's really, it's easy, but it's difficult at the same time to actually sell products on eBay and Amazon. Unless you have like a really in-demand or hot-selling product, it actually is really tough to get Amazon or eBay rank and actually sell products. So I mean, really, if I order 5 or 10 sample, typically I would probably order more like 20, but if I order 5 or 10 or even 20 sample products, and I throw up my eBay or Amazon listings, if I get more than 2 sales in the first 2 weeks, I don't necessarily consider it a hot-selling product, but there's something there. I think a lot of people want to find one product that's going to sell 50 units a day, and the reality of it is those products are few and far between. Not very many people have a single product that's doing 50, 100, 150 units a day. What I kind of try, I do have products like that, and I love those products, but what I try to do, like, if I'm able to get 2 to 3 sales a day, I'm happy with that. And I should say, I'm not making $1 per item. If I'm making $1 or 2 per item, yeah, then I got to be moving 50, 100, 150 units a day. But on some of my products, I might spend $2 on a product and sell that for $29 after Amazon fees. Maybe it nets me like 24 bucks, but still 24 minus a $2 investment brings me to 22. So if I'm making $22 per unit I sell, if I'm selling 3 units a day, that's $66 in profit right there. I don't necessarily think everything has to fly out the doors every day. I typically try to focus on things with really good margins, and I don't have to sell that many. If I sell 2, 3, 5 a day, it's a pretty good day, and it's not as if I'm just selling that one product. So I maybe have 50 products out in Amazon FBA right now. So if one product makes me 10 bucks a day, one product makes me 50 bucks a day, one product makes me 40 bucks a day, another product makes me 2 bucks a day, all that stuff adding together winds up adding up to some good money. So if you focus on good margins, you don't have to have huge sales numbers. And I think different Amazon sellers have different attitudes. There's some people who focus on selling volume and don't really care about the margins. You know, they may only make 50 cents per unit, but they're selling 200 units a day, and you know, it's good for them. Me personally, I don't mind selling less than 10 units a day if I'm making 20 or 30 bucks a unit. So I'm kind of more of a guy who goes for margins and doesn't really focus on quantity. Yeah, I'm trying to get, you know, I would love to sell 100 pieces a day with a $20 profit, but I'm kind of more focused on margins than I am volume. Let's see, what else was there? So that's kind of how I judge a product. But basically, if a product sells at all, period, I think that, you know, if something doesn't sell at all, if I sell 1 unit or I sell no units in the first 2 weeks, that product sucks. I'm not going to mess with it. But you know, if I sell out of my 5 or 10 pieces within a month, there's something there, and I can optimize the listing, and I can private label that, and I can promote it, and it'll sell. So basically, I never rely on eBay or Amazon organically to bring me sales. If they do bring me some sales organically, I realize I'm onto something, and I know that if I promote it myself, it can be a winner. But really, if I throw something up on eBay or Amazon and I sell out of 5 or 10 pieces in a month organically without doing any outside promotion, I'm onto something. And I'm not saying I'm going to order 1,000 pieces of that product, but I might get 100 pieces and send it into FBA. And if it takes 6 months to sell, so be it, because I'm making good margins on it. So that's kind of how I judge a product. Let's see. Also, can you personalize, i.e. brand, products from AliExpress or just Alibaba? If you ever talk to people at AliExpress, Alibaba wholesalers, don't call it private labeling, don't call it white labeling, and don't call it branding. Refer to it as OEM. Reason I say this is, if Alibaba, AliExpress people find out you're new or you don't know what you're doing, one of two things will happen. They'll either ignore you completely or they'll take advantage of you. So you use the term OEM, it just makes you sound more professional. You can, you know, if you say, hey, can you, do you do OEM, or, you know, do you do OEM, and can you put my brand on this product? What type of file, you know, what type of vector file do you need? You know, even if you don't even know what that means, just saying something like that makes you seem like you know your shit, for lack of a better word, and people will respect you more, and they won't take advantage of you. You'll probably notice a lot of Alibaba suppliers put up huge MOQs or minimum order quantities, and that's basically to keep the newbies away. I know a lot of you guys tell me, you know, oh, I've reached out to 50 suppliers asking for samples and nobody will send me samples. They don't want to deal with small-time sellers. A lot of people kind of try to game the system and get free products. A lot of people just want to order something personally, so they order a sample and try to get it at the wholesale price. They want to deal with large buyers and repeat business. So you know, as my grandpa used to say when NFL players would do a touchdown dance, act like you've been there before, and people will take you more seriously. As far as branding, you may be able to get someone to, I mean, I shouldn't say may. I have gotten AliExpress sellers to brand stuff for me before, but typically the AliExpress sellers are not factories. They're just traders, so they're basically going to go back to a factory and say, will you brand this for this guy? If you're looking to get into private labeling and branding, quite honestly, you're better off just going direct to Alibaba and doing it there. Although there are, in some instances, I have gotten better products or better prices from AliExpress than Amazon. Just recently, one of the products I'm dealing with, I only have to order 10 pieces and I get them for, I think, $1.10. The Alibaba seller was trying to sell the pieces normally for $1.60, which right off the bat is more money than the AliExpress seller. And then he asked me, he said, okay, if you do 1,000 pieces, I'll do $1.10 for you. So AliExpress, without any negotiation, I was able to get the products for $1.10. On Alibaba, I had to buy 1,000 pieces and negotiate with the guy just to get the same price. So occasionally you can find better prices on AliExpress than Alibaba, but really AliExpress is more like an eBay for Chinese sellers and traders. Alibaba is more where Alibaba has traders too. You're not always dealing with a factory, but you're more likely to find an actual factory supplier, or at the very least a larger trader. So keep that in mind. One other thing, sorry, I'm just rambling here. One other thing, before you go to private label, make sure you know exactly what you want and you're going to get a decent quantity. Nobody's going to private label 50 pieces for you. They're basically gonna have to change their assembly line, or add a feature to put your branding on something, and they're not gonna bother getting your artwork and setting up their presses or however they do that just for 50 pieces. So if you're planning on branding, you are going to have to do a larger order quantity. If you're not willing to do that, you're better off trying to either A, add some type of sticker branding yourself, or just leave the product generic and brand the actual box. But hopefully that answered the question for the reader who messaged me with this, as well as everybody else. How I determine if a product is good selling is basically if I'm able to sell out of my sample order within, say, 2 weeks without any outside promotion. I realize there's something there. It's not necessarily going to be a golden product, but it will make some money if I promote it in other ways as well. And as far as private labeling or branding, Alibaba is really the place to go, but it never hurts to ask an AliExpress seller either. So hopefully this video helped you out. If so, please give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe for updates on all my new videos, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.